Hello, yo, hola, konnichiwa, prive. You wanna know something I absolutely love? Geography. Yeah, it's true. I actually have a passion for learning about the geography and history of all the different countries of the world. On top of that, I'm also a vexologist. That means I use flags as my cum rags. That means I study flags. But today, we're not going to talk about flags or countries. We're actually going to talk about time zones. Time zones. Every country has one. Some have multiple. A prime example is the United States, which has EST, PST, and the third one. And there's also some that don't make sense, like how North Korea used to have PYT, or Pyongyang time, UTC plus 8:30, which was half an hour behind South Korea's Korean Standard Time, UTC plus 9, specifically just to be petty with South Korea. I've never seen two countries so bitter to each other since Britain gave all of China an opium addiction. But we're not going to talk about one country's specific time zone. We're going to talk about this DeviantArt's wet dream of a time zone border.
Yikes.
This is called the International Dateline. It's a time zone border that stretches all the way from the Arctic to the Antarctic and is located in the Pacific Ocean. With this time zone, a lot of freaky shit can happen. It could be Tuesday, you take a flight somewhere, then it's suddenly Monday, and then it's Tuesday again, and depending on the time of day you fly, it could be fucking Wednesday. You can theoretically time travel a day into the future here. It's truly a fucking work of art. But in the same way a bunch of splatters on a blackboard is considered art. But what does it mean, and why is it like this? First off, we need to pinpoint what map we're using, as this fucking fur affinity wannabe of a time zone border is different on almost every fucking website. For the sake of simplicity, and to get better visuals, we'll be using the Google Maps version. Also, to make things as simple as possible, we're going to go from top to bottom, following this line. I am also going to explain it using the metaphor of someone discovering their sexual preference. Cool? No? Too bad, it'll be funny. So as we go down, we see our line here. We'll call him Dave. Dave is feeling quite straight, right? And then suddenly, his friends send him a gif of two guys kissing, and he's feeling quite confused. Our first little intrusion comes here at the Chukchi Sea. You can see here, Russia and the US are so close to making out in this area, it's not even funny. Since Russia and the US have two completely different time zones, it makes sense that the first line crosses here, separating Wrangel Island from the dangers of Alaska. And trust me, Alaska is quite dangerous. I mean, they have 3 whole electoral votes! The line continues this way. Then all of a sudden, Dave is certain it was just a fluke. Then he opens Pornhub. This line is simple, separating St. Lawrence Island from Russia, but then it keeps going. The reason for this is what I like to call Alaska's piss droplets. Then the line zooms back to the right to try and keep itself somewhat aligned. Now, Dave is quite confident. He went to Bible study, so he's certain he's straight now, as gayness is a sin in the eyes of Jebebus. But then Dave changes. He decides to stand up and say, I'm as straight as a U-turn. Oh, I really tried to keep that in, but I just couldn't. Oh my fucking god. Wow. Now we're at the fun part. What the fuck is this private window bullshit doing on my map? Well, you see, even though it's hard to tell, this is actually the border of a country. Yeah, a fucking country. What country? This one right here, this one. Kiribati, and yes, it's pronounced Kiribati for some reason that makes an us sound. I don't know. Kiribati is made up of a bunch of tiny atolls, 33 to be exact. And if you don't know what an atoll is, think of an island that's waterboarding itself. 2/3 of the islands are over here in the oceanic area of Micronesia, not to be confused with the Federated States of Micronesia, and the rest are in this area of Polynesia. Now, here's where the confusion comes in. Not only does this cross the international dateline, but Kiribati also crosses the equator, making it the only country to straddle through 4 hemispheres. I know, France with its overseas territories doesn't count, you fucking degenerates! Now, Kiribati actually had the dateline changed. Before, they used to have it go straight, but to stop confusion, they had it changed in 1955 to this massive
cock joke.
The Phoenix Islands down here use the time zone at UTC plus 13, which was also adopted by non-Kiribati islands like Tonga, Tokelau, and Samoa, and the penis-shaped side uses the time zone UTC plus 14. Now, both of these overlap the time zones of UTC minus 10 and minus 11. So, theoretically, Kiribati is the first country to wake up in the morning and start every day, ever. Or at the very least, the sign owned by Mr. Johnson right here. To quote Barbs of the YouTube channel Geography Now, which is where I got most of this info, so you should check him out, Japan may be the land of the rising sun, but Kiribati is the land of the first dawn. To put everything very simply, every island or atoll in this phallic-looking border is a part of Kiribati, and the very tip is where you can do that time-traveling bullshit I mentioned at the start. Pretty neato indeed. And gets a gold star for being quite neato. Good for you, Kiribati. Good for you. But we finally did it! Back to the straight line. Dave is straight once again. Then he turns slightly gay again because of a wingo right here, but that's it. Smooth sailing after that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the International Dateline Explained. I wasted so much of my life on this.